Hello everyone, welcome you all. In the today's video, we are going to discuss about Git Diff command, which is very important command in Git. So now let us see what is the use of Git Diff command. So in version control systems, we have different stages. Like we have working directory, and after that we have a staging area, and after that we have a local repository, or we can say local repo, and then we have a remote repository, right? So then we have a remote repository. So this is the structure we will follow in the version control system. So whatever files which we are currently working, so those files by default available in the working directory. And before committing those files into local repository, we have to add them to the staging area. And from there, we can commit them into local repository. And finally, we can push them into remote repository. So this is the exact process. Now, the files will be available in any of the stages. Like some files will be there in the working directory, some files will be there in the staging, and files will be there in the local repo or remote repositories. So how we can find the differences? Like suppose I have a one file which is added into the staging area. Now I want to compare the file which is available in the working directory, or I want to compare the file content which is available inside the working directory and the staging area. Similarly, I want to compare the file content between the working directory and the local repository. And I want to compare the file content between the working directory and remote repository. Or similarly, I want to compare the file content between the staging and local repository. So how we can do that? So to compare the file contents between working directory or staging, or between working directory or local repository, or between local repository, remote repository, we can use git diff command. So git diff command basically used for comparing the files in version control system, right? So compare the files in the version control system. So now we'll see how we can use this command practically. So for that, first of all, we need to have working directory, which contains a file, which contains some content, and then we'll create a staging and local repository. So we will talk about remote repository separately later. So for now, let us focus only on three: working directory, staging, and local repository. Okay. So as a first step, what I will do is I'll just have two environments. Let us say this is my working directory, this is my staging area, and this is my local repository. So first, let me just create a new project in which I will create a simple file. So let's go to C drive, and here I will create a new folder. So I'll name it as a sample project and open this project. So inside this, I'm just opening my git bash. So this is my git bash. So here I can execute all the commands. So by default, I don't have any files in my project. So I'll try to create a new file in my project. Then I will also add version control system to this particular project. So for that, we have to create a local repository. We have to use git init command. So let us do that. Let me just put these two windows side by side. So this is a project workspace location. Currently, I don't have any files in my sample project. And this is my git bash. Okay, so now let us, currently we are in our project itself, workspace location itself. So what I will do is I will create a new file in my project. So how to create a new file? Through command prompt. If I want to create, we can use Linux command. So we can use like a vim is a command, and I'll create one simple file called index.txt. All right, so once you created this file, when I enter, which will open the command prompt, so which will open the editor. So in this, we have to add some data. So how we can add? I'm just trying to add the data into the file. So here I'll just type something called animal. Okay, I'll say animals. And after that, I'm saving the file. So now index.txt, which is created in my sample project location, currently, which is there in your workspace. Now let us update this. So this is my file. You can just consider this is my file. So inside this file, I added some data. So let me just add some data. Okay, just a second. So here, I can just remove this. Okay, so now let me just add file into workspace location. Just I'm adding some shape here and click on edit text. And here I have added animals. Okay, so this is a current one single line which we have in this file inside the working directory. Fine. So after that, what you will do is, now currently we have created just a one file, and which contains only one single line. So now let us try to create a local repository. So currently we don't have version control system for this project. So let us create a new repository. So how to create a new repository? By using git command, git init, git init. So which will create a new empty repository. So now it is created initialized empty git repository for this particular project. Okay, so once it is created, then what I will do is I will try to add this file into staging area. So how we can add? So I want to add this file to staging area. So how we can add? By using add command. So I'm writing get add, and we can specify the file index.txt, or you can say simple dot, and which will add all the files to your staging area. So currently we have only one file in the project. So this command will add that particular file into your local repository. Okay, so now if I just look at the status, get the status. So now we can see this is a new file which is added to your local, added to your staging. So now what I have done, this particular file we have added to the staging area. Now currently it is there in the staging area and also in the working directly, the same content which we have, the same content which we have. Now, so after adding this file into staging area, now what I will do is I will update this particular file. So additionally, I will try to add some other thing, like I say birds. Okay, so let us try to add this file. So now what I will do is, let's go back to the GitHub, and then again I'll try to update the file. I'll say vim index.txt, open the file once again. So previously we have animals, right? I want to add some information or some other content into the same file. So I'll say insert, and here I'll add one more line and then save the file. Okay, so once we have done this, what we have done, so we have added already file to staging, and after adding to the staging, I have done some modification in the working directory. Okay, I have done some modification in the working directory. Now these changes are not part of your staging area. Okay, so now this is the environment setup. So now if I just look at the status, git status, and now we can see this is a file which is modified in the workspace, which is saying in the red color, right? Red color text, which is modified, but this is a not part of your staging area. So in the staging area, in this file, we have only one single line, but in the working directory, we have two lines in the file. Okay. So now what is my first requirement is, let's go back to the notes. So my first requirement is I want to see, so I say requirement one. So I want to see the difference in a file content between the working directory and the staging area. So I want to see the difference in file content between working directory and the staging area. So currently, if I just look at here, so this is our working directory, which contains a file which contains two lines, and in the staging also we have file which contains only single line. Now I want to see the difference between the file content in working directory and staging area. So how we can do that? So this is my first requirement. So to do this, we have to use diff command. Okay, so what is the command we have to use? It here is, we can say git diff and then name of the file. So git diff and name of the file. So git diff and the name of the file. So when I execute this command, which will show you the difference between the file which is available in the staging area and also working directory. Now let us try to execute this command through git command prompt, and we'll see the difference. So let me just clear it. Now I'm executing this command. I say git, and I say diff, git diff, then file name index.txt. So once you executed this command, now we got some number of lines. So let us try to understand this text, what it exactly displayed. So that we can just ignore this warning, and okay, this is also we can just ignore, and this is the one we have to understand what exactly it is. So let us copy here, and let us try to understand what exactly it is. So basically here, the first diff hyphen hyphen git is a statement or the syntax which is given by Git. Now, what exactly the rest of the things means? So a slash index.txt, b slash index.txt. So what exactly it means? So here a and b, okay, a and b is representing source and the destinations. Okay, so a.index.txt, which is representing the source, and b slash index.txt, which is representing the source. Okay, so here we have something called a working directory and a staging area. So which one is a source, which one is a destination? So normally we consider working directory as a source, staging is a destination, but in the Git we'll take a reverse way. So staging here, this is a source location, this is the target location or destination location. So staging is a source and working directory is a target as per the Git. So here a slash index.txt, which is actually represents source, which is representing the source. So let me write the notes here, which is representing the source. That means a staging area file. So this file is representing the staging area file. And this one is representing the destination file, which is representing the destination file. Representing destination file means what here? Staging is a, not staging, workspace is a working directory or workspace is a destination directory. Okay, so these two. Now let us go to the next line. So here there are three things are shown here. What are exactly these three things? The first part, right? So this one is representing the hash of the file content. So normally the file content will be stored in the form of hash or hashing algorithm internally. Git will use it. So this is representing the hash of the file content. Okay, the first one. So this is representing the hash of the file content from the source or staging. Okay, so the first one. So this is representing the first code is representing the hash of the file content. Which file content? From the source or staging, from the source or staging. Now the second one, so this is representing, this code is representing hash of the file content from the destination or workspace. So this is representing hash of the file content from destination or workspace. Okay, so these are the two things. Now the last value, so what exactly this is representing? So this is exactly representing the file mode. So we can call it as a Git file mode. So Git file mode again contains the two parts. Git file mode contains the two parts. The first three digits are representing the type of the file, what type of the file it is. So this is represents type of the file, type of the file. Now the last two type of the file means it can be any type, like a which can is a normally we have created text file, right? Is a ASCII text file. Similarly, whatever type of the file you created, it will show you the type of the file. So the first three digits are representing the type of the file, and the next three digits are representing the file permissions. File permissions will be representing. So what exactly the meaning of 644? So as we said before, Git follow all the Linux commands, right? So 644 is representing the file permissions. So basically what is the meaning of 644? So 6 means read and write, and 4 means only write, and again 4 means only write. So in the Linux, we have special type of permission, like 4 is representing the reading mode, read permission, and 2 representing the writing permission, 1 representing the execute permission. And at the same time, we have three types of users in Linux: group, owners, and users. So here the first 6 means what? 4 plus 2, 4 plus 2. So that means a read and write permission. So read and write permission we have for the groups or owners, and write permissions are representing the 4 representing the read permission, and again R. So for the groups and others have only read permission, and owner is having read and write permission. So 644 is representing the file permissions in Linux. The same thing is applicable for Git also. So that is a meaning of this one. So Git file mode. Now let us understand these two things. What is a slash index.txt plus 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 b slash index of txt. So this particular part, is representing, is indicating source file missing some lines. Okay, or we can say source files missing some lines. Source file means a slash index.txt minus minus minus, this means representing missing. So source file is missing. So we already discussed right here, a means a source file, b is a destination file. Here a slash index is a source file, b dot index is a working directory, that is a destination file. So here minus 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 means missing. So a slash index.txt means which is a source file in the staging area, and it is representing missing some lines, missing some lines. So if I just look at here the staging area, the file is animals, so there is only one line, but in the working directory we have a two lines. That means there is one line which missing in the staging, that is your source. So that's the meaning of it. Now this one, this is also represents new lines added in the destination file. So some new lines. So here we already discussed b slash index, which is representing the destination or working directory, right? So plus plus means what? The new lines are added in the destination file, which is working directory. So after adding this file into the staging area, we again added one more line called birds, which is not there in the staging area. So that is exactly representing this. So in the destination file, which is a working directory, some new lines are added. That is a representation of plus plus plus. So now this one. So what exactly this means? So minus 1 plus 1 and 2. So minus 1 and plus 1 means from the first line to first line and the second line. So in the source means what? So source means what? Staging area, we have only one line missing, minus 1. But in the target, in the destination, that is in the working directly, we have one line and also we have a second line. So 1 to 2 lines we have in the working directory, but in the staging area one line is missing, so minus 1, which is representing that. And now the last two lines are most important. So in the last two lines, sometimes you will see one space here, or you can see plus, or sometimes you can see minus also. So what does exactly mean? So here space or plus or minus, so there is a meaning for that. So what is that meaning? If any line prefixed with the space means it is unchanged. That means what? So there is a space here, that means this particular line is same or which is not changed in source and destination. That means in the staging area and working directory. And if I just look at here, this particular line, the first line is not changed in the working directory and the staging area. So it is exactly same. So it is not changed. So space is representing the unchanged. If any line prefixed with the space means it is unchanged. Now you can see plus here. So plus is representing means it is added in destination copy. So if any line prefixed with the plus, which means it is added in destination copy. What is the destination here? Working directory is a destination. So we have added one new line called birds, right? So that is a representation of plus here. So plus means which is something is added. This particular line is added in the destination copy. That is your working directory copy. Okay, sometimes you can also see minus, which means that is a line which is removed from the destination copy. Okay, so this is a meaning of this particular result, the output of git diff command. So now by seeing this output, we can understand what are the exact differences between the working directory file and the staging area file. So in this requirement, we have seen, so what is the difference between the file content between working directory and the staging area? So we have seen these differences. So similarly, we can also use git diff command to compare the files between other areas. So let me just talk about another requirement. Let us say, so requirement 2. So in this, my requirement is I want to see the differences. I want to see the difference in the file content between working directory and last commit. Working directory and last commit. Then how we can see that? So working directory and last commit. So far we have working directory and the file is available in the staging, but here we have only one single line, but we don't have anything in the local repository. So once you commit this file, then we will get the file content in the local repository. So until unless we haven't have any files in the local repository. So now what I will do is I will commit this particular file into local repository. Okay, so animal, so this is only one single line which we have in the staging. So I'll try to commit this file into local repository, and after that I will compare the file content between working directory and local repository. Okay, so let us try to commit this file into local repository. So how to commit this file into local repository? So then we can go back to the git, and from the git bash I'll execute one command, git commit -m, and here I'm writing commit. This is my first commit. This is my first commit, and file contains only one single line, right? So I'll say file contains one line. So this is my first commit. So as soon as you executed this command, what will happen? So whatever file we have in the staging area will move to this local repository. It is not moved, actually it will send the one more copy to the local repository. So now we have a file in the working directory which contains the 2 lines, and we have a file in the staging area which contains only single line, and the same file we have committed to your local repository. And this is my first commit. This is my first commit. So let me write the comment here. So we already done the first commit. So first commit. So in the first commit, file contains a one single line. Okay, so we have done the first commit. So after doing this, now let us compare the file content between working directory and local repository. So previously in the previous requirement, what we have done, we have compared file content between working directory and staging. So now we are going to compare between working directory and local repository. Okay, or committed file. So whatever the file which is committed, which is a recent commit, or the latest commit we can say. So we can have multiple commits also. So we'll see one more example for multiple commits. So as of now, I have done only one commit. So this we consider as a one latest commit or most recent commit we can say. And we will compare working directory file content with most recent commit file. Okay, let us compare this. That's our requirement. So to see the difference in file content between working directory and the last commit or the latest commit. Now how we can execute this command? So we already committed this, right? We already committed. So after committed, what I will do is, so currently we have only one single line in the local repository. In the working directory, we have 2 lines. So basically we are comparing the content between the working directory and one last commit, right? So what I will do is the local repository file content only one single line, and working directory currently have only 2 lines. Okay, so now I'll try to add one more line in the working directory. I will try to add one more line in the working directory. So let us try to add. So currently animals and birds we have. So let us go to the git prompt. So I'm trying to add one more line in the working directory, and after that I will compare this working directory with the local repository. So let us clear it. So how we can add? Again, vim command index.txt. I'm opening the file, and currently we have only 2 lines. So now I'm going to add one more line. So insert, and I'll say fishes. Okay, and then I'm saving the file. All right, so now I have added one more line in the working directory, that is fishes. Okay, now this is our file. So now this is a file which is a file content which is available in the working directory. Now in the local repository, so still we have animals. This is the first commit. Then we have to compare these two. We have to compare working directory with the local repository. What is the difference in file content? So let us try to execute the command. So what is the command which we have to execute? So here the last commit, whatever we have done, the last commit, which is always referred by head keyword. So whichever the, suppose we have multiple commits also will be there, but whatever the new commit, the latest or the last commit, which is always representing with head. Okay, so just you have to remember this. So the last commit is always referred using head keyword. Okay, the last commit. So whenever you see head, that is representing the last commit in the local repository. So now how we can write the commit, how we can execute the command to compare the files in the working directory and the local repository. So for that, so we have to write one command like this. I say git is a command, git and diff. So head is representing the last commit and name of the file index.txt. So this is the command. So what exactly this command will do is, which will find the difference between the content of two files. The first file is present in the repository, the latest commit. Head is representing the latest commit or last commit, index.txt, which is a file we are comparing with. So this is a command which we have to execute. Now let us execute and see what is an output we will get. So go to the GitHub, go to the Git bash shell, and I'll execute one command, git diff and head index.txt. Okay, so as soon as we enter this, now this is an output we capture. So let us try to understand this output by seeing the stages. So here you can see the stages. So what is an output here? So we are compared local repository last commit with our working directory, right? So let us try to understand this. So these are the three important lines which we need to understand. So rest of the things will show you like a hash of the source file, hash of the destination file, and type file mode and everything. So let us understand these three lines. So here, animals, before these animals, there is a space. Means what? This is unchanged. Space is representing unchanged. So in the both animals is there, which is unchanged. Now birds and fishes, for both of them, there is a plus. So what does that mean? So here plus is representing the destination file. What is the destination file here? Working directory. So that means birds and fishes, these are the two additional lines which we have in our working directory file. So which are not there in the latest commit file, latest committed file. So that is a representation of this text. So like this, we can execute this command and we can compare the file content between your working directory file content and your the last commit file content in the local repository. So this is one requirement. Now I'll show you one more requirement. So let us see one more requirement. So I have, let's say, requirement 3. So in the requirement 3, what I want to do is I want to see the difference in file content between staged copy and last commit. Staged copy and last commit. So what does that mean? Staged copy means what? This is a staged copy, staging. And last commit means what? There is only one commit we have so far we have done. So this is a committed file. So now we need to compare these two. So previously we have compared working directory and staging, and also we have compared working directory and a local repository. So now we have to compare, stage copy with local commit. So these two files we have to compare, staging and local repository. So how we can compare this? So as we know, the latest commit or the last commit is representing by or referenced by head, but how we can represent the stage? So to represent the stage, we have to use one more option called -, staged. So before that, what I will do is, so currently there is no difference in this, right? So whatever the file we have in the staging, the same file we have committed in the local repository in the last commit. So content is same. So now what I will do is I will add this content, the working directory content, to the staging area. So then we can see the difference between staging and local repository, right? So let us try to add this working directory of file content to the staging area. So currently we have only one line in the staging area file. So we need to add these two lines also. So to do this, what I will do is I will add them. So get add dot. So when you execute this command, what happens? Now, whatever the rest of the lines we newly added in the working directory will be added to your staging area. So now in the staging area, as soon as we added, now in the staging area, another two lines also added, birds and fishes. Okay, so now whatever content we have in the working directory, the same file content which is there in the staging area. So now as part of third requirement, we will compare these two, staging and local repository. In the staging file, we have a 3 lines. In the local repository, in the last commit, we have only 1 line. So let us try to compare these two. So the command is, here the command is git diff, and so we have to compare our last commit with your staging file. So for that, what we have to do, we have to use one option called hyphen staged, and head is representing always last commit. Head is always representing the last commit. So this is a command which we have to use, and file name index.txt. So this is a command which we have to use. Or you can also use another command, the same command you can use like this, git diff instead of hyphen staged. So you can also say catched. So there is one more option called catched. Okay, so these are option also we can use, but most of the times we use only staged. So let me just remove this. So let us try to execute this command. So what this command will do, this will compare the file content between staged copy and the last commit in the repository. So let us try to execute this command now. Let me clear this, and I say git diff hyphen staged. Head is representing the last commit in the repository. Staged is representing staging area. And on which file you want to compare, that file name you have to specify index.txt. And if I don't specify the file name, what will happen? Which will compare all the files, multiple files. If you have multiple files in the staging and the local repository, which will compare multiple files, and it will show you the results. So currently we stick to one file, index.txt. Now let us execute this command. So now it shows some difference. So let us try to understand this output based upon our analogy. So here, as soon as we have staging file, we have a 3 lines, right? So in the local repository or in the last commit, we have only one single line, right? So now let us try to analyze this output, which is correct or not. So if I just compare these 3 lines, the first animals, there is a space. That means this is unchanged. So animals is there in the staging file and also local repository file in the last committed file. So plus birds plus fishes. So these two additional lines which are there in the destination file. So what is the destination file here? Staging is a destination file. Staging is a destination file. So birds and fishes, these two new lines which are added into the staging file, but we are not, those lines are not there in the first commit. So by seeing this, we can understand the difference. Okay, by understanding the difference. Okay, and if I just look at the numbers also, so here there is only -1. This is representing the source, which is a local repository, and +1 and 3. So that means there are 3 lines which are available in the staging files. So from 1, 2 means from 1 to 3 lines which are there in the staging area, but in the local repository we have only 1 line. That is a representation. Okay, so by seeing this output, we can easily find the difference between the files between staging area and last committed file in the local repository. So this is a analogy. Now, so let me show you one more requirement. So for example, I want to compare. There is one more requirement. Let's say requirement 4. So I want to see. Okay, I want to see the difference in file content between specific commit and working directory copy. Specific commit and working directory copy. So what I'm saying is, here we have only one commit, and suppose we have multiple commits. So I want to compare my working directory copy or this content with specific commit. So specific commit means what? In the first commit, we have added 1 line. In the second commit, we may add more lines like that. So you may have n number of commits, but I want to compare this current working directory file content with the specific committed file. Okay, so then how we can do that? So what I will do is, before comparing this content with the specific file commit, so for the last committed, we have used head, right? Head is representing the last commit. Let us say I have committed 3 times, first time, second time, and third time. So third time, whatever I committed, that's the last commit. We can call it as a last commit. Okay, so this is the first commit I have done. So let us do one more commit. Okay, and for that what I will do is, so whatever the 3 lines which we have in the staging, I will also update these 3 lines in the local repository. So I can commit one more time. Okay, I'll commit this one. So how we can commit these 3 lines in the local repository? So for that, I'm trying to use commit command, commit -m, and in the double quotations, this is my second commit, right? So I'll say commit, second commit, and now this file contains a 3 lines, right? So the file contains a 3 lines. So this is my comment I have created. So second commit, file contains a 3 lines. So previously we have only 1 line. First commit, we have only 1 line. Now I'm doing second commit. In the second commit, I will have a 3 lines in the repository. So let us execute this command. Okay, so yeah, git is forgot. So let me just add git also. Git commit -m. All right, so once it is done. So once it is done, now what happens? These 2 lines also added into local repository file. So now this is a second commit. So this is a second commit. In the second commit, we got 3 lines. In the first commit only we have 1 line. So this is my second commit. File contains how many lines? 3 lines. So file contains a 3 lines. So now let us compare. So what do we have to compare? So to see the difference in file content between the specific commit and working directory copy, specific commit and working directory copy. So here working directory means this one. So I have a 3 lines. So I have a 2 commits here. Which one is the last commit? Whichever commit we have just done, that is the last commit. So this is representing by head. This is a representing by head. But I want to compare with the previous commit. That means a specific commit. Okay, so working copy, I want to compare this file content with the previous commit or a specific commit which we know. But how we can compare that? How we will know which commit it is? Because there will be so many commits are there. So we can do this by using commit ID. So first of all, we need to have commit ID. Okay, so currently both the copies are same. So for that, what I will do is I will also add some additional content in the working directory. So in the working directory, let us add one more line. Like I will try to add trees. Okay, now we can see some difference. So let me just add through git also. So git, how we can add them? You can open the file that is index.txt, and currently we have a 3 lines. So now I'm trying to add one more line called trees. Okay, and then save the file. So once we have done this, we have 4 lines in the working directory file, and in the remote repository we have a 3 lines. So these 3 lines committed file is second commit, the last commit. But in the first commit, how many lines we have? Only one single line. Okay, so this is a second committed file. Actually, if I just look at this, this is a second committed file. So in the second committed file we have a 3 lines, but in the first committed file we have only one single file. We have only one single file. We have only one single line in the file in the first commit. So now which one is the last commit here? Which one is the latest commit? So this one is the second commit, is the latest commit. So now I want to compare the working directory file content with the specific commit. Whichever commit you want to take, you can commit. So I want to take the first commit now. So there will be some difference. So how we can write the command here? So to write the command, what you will do is, before that we need to know the commit ID, because there are so many commits are there. In the first commit, we have only one single line. In the second commit, we have 3 lines. So in which commit you want to compare this content? So we need to know the commit ID. So how we will know the commit ID? So to get the commit ID, we have to execute one more command here, that is called git log -hyphen one line. Okay, -hyphen one line. So this command will give you the IDs of every commit, whatever you have done earlier. So let me just execute that command. So let me clear it. Git log git log one line. This is the command. So when I execute this command, which will show you all the commits whatever we have done earlier. Now we can just look at here. This is my first commit and this is a latest commit or the last commit we can say. Now whatever code you can see here, these are the commit IDs. These are the commit IDs. Now I want to compare my file content from working directory to the first commit. So which commit ID I have to take? This is the commit ID I have to take. Sorry, this is the commit ID we have to take. And what is the final command we have to write here? Once you know the commit ID, so what is the command we have to execute now is git diff and commit ID, and then specify the name of the file. So specify the name of the file. So now what this command will do is this particular command. So here, this is the commit ID. So whichever specific commit which you want to compare with, you have to specify the commit ID here. So git diff the commit ID index.txt. So this command will exactly compare the file content in working directory and the file content in first commit. In the first commit, we have only one single line. Okay. So let us try to execute this command. So the same command I'm trying to copy here. Let us paste it here. All right. So now we got some output. So now let us try to analyze the output here. So as per the analogy, you can just look at the presentation here. So what are the changes we have? In the first commit, we have only single line animals, but in the working directory, we have 4 lines. Now, if I just look at the output here, okay, so animal, so there is a space between, there is a space here in the prefix. So that means this is unchanged. That means the same line is there in the first commit file. And the second thing is birds, fishes, trees. So plus is representing the destination file. So in these two, what is the destination file? Working directory is a destination file. Is always considered right to left. So this is a source file and this is the target or destination. So here plus is representing your target file. So that is your working directory file. So in the working directory file, these are the 3 additional lines which we have added. And these 3 lines are not there in our repository. So there is only one common line which is already there, which is unchanged. But these 3 lines which we have added in the working directory. Okay, so this is how we have to compare our working directory files with a specific commit in the local repository, So that is our requirement. Now, so we'll see one more requirement. We can also execute a git diff command in the different places. So for example, so this is my 4th requirement. So suppose I just want to compare, let's see another requirement 5. Okay, so here now we can see this requirement. I want to see the difference in file content between specific commit and a staging copy. Specific commit and a staging copy. So previously what we have done, specific commit and working directory. So specific commit means this one, first commit, and working copy. Now we have to compare the specific commit with a staging file. So specific commit with a staging file. So how we can compare these two? So staging file, we representing -stage, -staged option, right? And commit, so which file, which we can representing the commit by using commit ID. So now let us write the command here. So what you have to do, we can again take the same commit ID. So because this is last commit, so this is not a last commit. The last commit is this one, second one, and this is old commit. So I want to compare this with this commit. So for that, what you have to do, we have to write this command like this: git diff and git diff. We have to compare this with our staging file. So staging file, how we can representing -staged, -staged, and then specify the ID, commit ID. So what is the commit ID? The same commit ID I will specify here. Same commit ID we specify here. And then do we need to specify the file name here? We don't need to specify the file name because by default we specify the commit ID, right? So staged file, the staged file will compare with the commit ID. So let's compare, let's execute this command. So let us execute this command. Go back to the Git and paste here. All right. So now staged is anyway representing our staging environment, right? And this is a ID, commit ID. So now these are the differences which you have shown. So now let us try to understand the differences. So now we have compared stage file content with a specific commit. What is the difference here? So animals, there is no change. So animals, there is a space. There is no change here. And birds and fishes. So these two additional lines are added in the destination file, which is a staged file. So if I just look at here, birds and fishes. So these two additionally added into the staging file. So by seeing this, we can understand the difference. So space animals means this is unchanged, plus birds plus fishes means which are the new lines which are added in the staged file. So these are the differences between staged file and the specific commit. So like this, we can compare the file content in the different combinations. And apart from this, so let me also show you, suppose I want to compare the file content between two specific commits. So let me just add one more requirement. Let's say requirement 6. So I want to see the difference in the file content between two specified commits. So let's see here I have a two commits, first commit and second commit. So I want to see the difference between these two commits. In the first commit, you have only one line. In the second commit, you have a three lines. Now I want to see the difference between these two specific commits. So what is the command we have to execute here is, we have to execute git diff, and we have to specify the commit IDs of the both. So if I just, how we will get the commit IDs here. So what is the command? Git log hyphen one line, git log hyphen one line. So this will give you committed ID. So spelling wrong. So git log hyphen one line. This is one line. So now this is a latest commit. This is a old commit. So in the first commit, we have committed only one line. In the second commit, we have committed three lines. Now let us compare these two. So what I will compare is, I will specify the commit. So this is the first commit. This is the latest commit. So file content between two specified commits. So this is my commit ID of the first commit, and this is a commit ID of the another commit. So currently I have only two commits. So I'm specifying the IDs of two commits, and on which file? Index.txt file. Okay. So this will give you the differences between the file content in two specified commits. So this is a commit ID of the first commit. This is a commit ID of the second commit. Now let us execute this command. When I execute this, so now it is giving some differences. So let us try to understand this. And between these two commits, first commit and second commit, in the first and second commits, animals is still there. There is no change, that line. So animals, there is a space. Space is representing no change or unchanged. Now in the first and second commits, so minus it is showing. So what is minus representing? So minus representing the destination. Oh, sorry. Minus is representing the source, plus is representing the destination. So what is the source here? What is the destination here? The source is the old commit and destination is a new commit. So minus birds, minus wishes. So these two lines are missing in the source file. That is a source commit. Okay. So these two lines, minus is representing missing. So minus birds and minus fishes are missing from the first commit and which are there in the second commit. So this is how we can also compare the content between two different commits in the local repository. And not only this, we can also use git diff command to compare the content between two different branches. So for example, we haven't discussed about branches and remote repositories so far. In the next coming sessions, I will discuss about them, but just remember this. So if you want to see the difference in content between two branches in the sense what, in the repository, we have only one branch. So we have created only one branch, which is representing by master branch and which is also referred as a head. And similarly, we can also create multiple branches. So for example, I have master branch and test branch. Let us assume there are two branches. So let us assume two branches. One is a master branch, one is a test branch. So how we can compare the files contents between two branches? So for that, I can use one command like this: simply git diff, same command, git diff, and the name of the branch master. And I want to compare this branch with another branch called test. So then this command will show you all the differences between files which are available in the master branch and the test branch. So this command will show all the differences between master branch and test branch. Okay, this is the command. And similarly, we can also use a diff command to compare the differences between your local repository files and remote repository files. So far, we haven't discussed about remote repository. So once you push these files into remote repository, the files will be available in the remote repository. So if you want to compare the files between the local repository and remote repository, also we can use git diff command. So let us see the requirement 7. Suppose if you want to compare the files between local and remote repositories, then also we can use git diff command. In the coming sessions, I'll show you how we can do this. So to see the differences in content between local and remote repositories. So for that, what I have to do is we have to use a git diff master. So master is a local repository branch, and here we have to say origin or URL of your remote repository. So and then branch name. So always origin is representing the remote repository. So we have to pass the URL actually. So that URL is representing your remote repository. And inside the remote repository, whatever branch you have, you can specify the branch. So even in the remote repository also, we will have a master branch. So I'm comparing the master branch in your local repository with remote repository master branch. And this command will show you all the differences between the files which are available inside your local repository master branch and remote repository master branch. Okay, so this is how we can use git diff command. Very, very useful command to compare the files or the differences between the files between working directory or staging, between working directory or local repository, or staging local repository, or local repository to remote repository. So we can take any of the combinations. Okay, so that is all about git diff command. In the next video, we will see few more commands. So thanks for watching, guys. That's all for this video.